Since my life has become public as of recently, I decided to share some public information publicly so that in this time that I feel alone and in this time that everyone's just taking a break and a breather, I can still be productive and use my energy for good. And so I have been working on a few different projects, and I intend to make videos about all of them so you can all see them. But the most important one preparation for the sacrament of marriage. Catholics are very serious about marriage. We are very serious about it, what it implies, what it means, what it is. The sacrament of marriage is one of the most holy vocations a person can have, or rather two people can have. In an attempt to avoid a lot of politics, because I've already got a lot of people mad at me and I'm not trying to gain more. Our seriousness in what it means to be married and what marriage really is why we don't recognize same-sex marriage. And instead of becoming outraged by that, I encourage you to seek why we feel that way. Knowing what you do and why you do it is really important on figuring out who you are. And until you figure out who you are, nothing is going to make sense. Nothing is going to make sense if you don't even know God. But right after God, love thy neighbor as thyself. If you can't love yourself, nothing will make sense. In this preparation for marriage book that Joshua and I got when we were preparing to be married years ago, they talk a lot about marriage. And this book is written out really well to the point where they have chapters on chapters. And at the back of the book, they have questionnaires, lots of them. And it's really important to keep this book out and open and available for those of you who are becoming married and for those of you who are married. Because getting married is not a one and done deal, never again to be looked at. The wedding is not a one-day thing. You're wedded your entire life. And the feelings of bliss and joy and roses and pink lenses will fade. And when they do, substance needs to remain. Otherwise, there's nothing there. Most marriages, let's see if I can find this here. Finally, divorce statistics show that within 5 years, 1/3 of you who are now renting halls and hiring caterers will be facing each other in divorce courts. 1/3 of all marriages, at least, this may even just be Catholic. It may not even be all of the marriages. But regardless, 30% will be divorced in 5 years. My husband and I are nearing our 3rd anniversary, and divorce has already come up in topic in conversation. And let me tell you, that is the most heartbreaking word that anybody could ever hear. And if it is so freely expelled and mentioned in casual conversation, the sensitivity to it lessens and it becomes another word. But divorce in Catholic faith is near impossible to fulfill, because what is bound by God is unbreakable by human. God is that mighty. In all honesty, that's why we got tattoos as our engagement rings. Because we knew it was forever. And so here I am, alone, without my husband, without my son, without any friends or family near me, going through this book. Because clearly, I have not been practicing the right marriage techniques. And actually, there may not be a lot of rules or guidebook for parenting, which there are if you just look. But there's actually a lot of resources for you for a lot of issues that you might have. And if there are not, I don't know if you're looking hard enough. And if there still are not, I would be surprised. Because humans have been in existence for well over 2,000 years. Communication and writings have been documented for at least 2,000 years. And so, being that we are creatures of habit, I would reach out on a limb to say somebody somewhere has probably experienced what it is that you're experiencing. The issue is nobody talks about it. Everybody hides away, cries in their room, in their closet, whatever. They hide away and they don't talk about it. Communication is very important to any type of healthy relationship and shows transparency and honesty. It truly actually builds relationships when you communicate. Who knew? And so I've popped this book out. It's been out for a while, but I've really given it a good look, especially today. And I'd like for you to come join along with me as I discuss some of these things that this book contains. And maybe it'll help you in your marriage out. Maybe it'll prevent you from reaching this point where I'm at. Because let me tell you, this is the worst. I do not have my husband or my son here with me in my home that we have built together, that we have loved in, that we have laughed in, that we have hugged and dreamt in, that we have slept in, that we have played in. I'm here by myself. Do not let that happen to you. Because it's difficult. So, I'm going to read a few things from this book, and then we're going to talk about it. So consider this class number 1 in marriage preparation. This book talks about how being real, being understanding, and being caring are processes that create the best conditions for a happy marriage. Being real is so important. So is being understanding and being caring. There's a lot of factors that play into a healthy relationship and a healthy marriage, beyond these three things. But knowing and remembering that day that you woke up, you took a shower, you were probably with your friends and family, you were getting ready for your wedding, the girls were getting in dresses and the boys were getting in tux, and there was a lot of laughing, there's a lot of excitement, there's a lot of joy, nervousness. Remember why you walked down the aisle. Why did you go through all of these preparations? Why did you go through the dating period and the planning period for your marriage and waiting and counting down the days? The day is finally here. You're walking down the aisle. You get to the priest. He begins to say the mass. You're doing everything you can to pay attention to what is happening, all the while trying to experience your own wedding, to the point now where they're not here. Being real. Knowing yourself is extremely important to being real. How well do you know yourself? Do you know what your needs are? Do you know what you value? Do you know your partner? Does your partner know himself, herself? Are you being real? Are you being honest? Are you being forthright? Are you trying to hide anything? Are you covering things up? One of the biggest things that's taking a hold of our marriage at this time is we are learning each other, both separately and together, meaning I am learning myself, but I am also learning him, and I am learning us together. That, at this time, of course, I have about 3 years of marriage, and I'm about 28 years old. So I've got a lot of life to go, but at this time in my life, I would say that should never stop. You should never stop learning about each other and yourselves. You should always be growing. You should always be evolving. Plants do. Birds, animals, our society grows and evolves. If you're not growing and evolving, what are you doing? Because, in my opinion, if you're not growing and evolving, are you dead? And if you're still alive and breathing and watching this video and you're not growing and evolving, what's going on? Why has that stopped? Being real allows you to grow and evolve freely and expressively, openly, safely. Of course, you have to learn how to do those things. I'm learning that myself. I'm learning that I cannot just be harsh with my words. as true as they may be, the saying goes that you will catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. And I find that to be true with people too. When you are sweet, people tend to be attracted to you. And no, I don't mean in a sexual way. Stop thinking sexual. Get out of that. That's a whole nother video I cannot wait to talk about. But at this time, learn who you are and learn who your partner is. Ask questions. Get to know them. Dig in there. Getting the surface level, for me, is tiring, but necessary. But really get in there. Dig down deep. Find out who you are. What are you and why are you doing that? Be real. Be honest. Be open. The next thing is being understanding, and being understanding is really important as well because it involves relationship. Relationship with yourself. Are you understanding of yourself and why you do things? Your intention. But also understanding the other people. In this case, marriage, the other person. Do you sit and listen objectively? Without an agenda, without trying to put your visions upon them? Can you just sit, clear your mind, and listen? Without judgment? Without trying to fix things? Stop trying to fix things. And for those of you who can't ask for help, ask for people to fix things. How can I fix this? A lot of communication issues are because people just can't listen. Just listen. And then ask. You say, I heard that you said this. Would you like me to fix it? Or would you like me to continue listening? Open up that communication. What can I do? You've now told me all of this. I've now listened to you. What would you like my response to be? Because I could have a lot of different responses. But is there anything in particular that you're looking for? And don't use that in a way to tell them what you think they want to hear. Don't use that in a way to justify anything. This is why it's important to be grounded in God first, because when you truly listen and receive information, having God grounded in your soul first will give you a lot better chance at restraining your judgments and your own impositions than not knowing God. Honestly, before I go any further, I really recommend not only do you work on your marriage with your spouse, but work on a marriage with God. Get to know God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. 3 in 1. The Trinity. Get to know them as if you were in a marriage. Because having them on your side and on your team, I'm telling you now, makes things a lot easier to deal with. It does not make things easy. Life is not going to be easy. In fact, I would venture to say it's probably more difficult, but that's opinionated and there's no true way of testing that scientifically. But I would go and venture out to say that having Jesus Christ, knowing Him, having a relationship with Him as if I were in a marriage with Him, has been far more fruitful and comforting and encouraging than when I didn't know Him. So all of these things that I'm talking about today and in any of my videos, and I'll probably say it in every video, get to know Jesus this way. This next one is being understanding. Here's a question that they ask. Do I fully realize that mutual understanding is a cornerstone for marriage? An art that I can develop through practice? Listening, being understanding, that can go a long way. That can go a really long way. The third thing that we were talking about is being caring. Being caring is where I fault. I am so headstrong to be effective and efficient and to meet everybody's needs and to get everything done in the right way, in the fastest way possible, and that I myself forget to have fun. And when I forget to have fun, I become stressed out. And when I become stressed out, it is really difficult for me to be caring. I also forget to have my own needs met. Anybody ever work so hard that you skip lunch or you skip a meal because you just need to get this thing done? I do that every day, all day, with myself. And I don't give myself enough attention and myself enough self-love. But that also reflects on my spouse, because I am so tunnel vision. I'm so focused on meeting his needs and meeting my kids' needs that when I try to meet his needs because my own needs aren't met, my meeting his needs are not effective at all. And that's hard for me because effectiveness and efficiency are my two top strengths that I enjoy, but that, as you can see, in the state of where I'm currently at in my marriage with where it's at, it can also hinder me because I try to go so hard that I begin to trip and fall, and now I have fallen flat on my face and in the mud, and it's raining, and nobody's around to tell me it's going to be okay. Nobody is around to pick me up and clean me off, except for Jesus. Thank you, Jesus, for being with me. These three things are really important. I have a lot more to say. Stay tuned for the next one.